Hey everybody, so I've been doing some videos on the fate line and I want to continue by looking at a missing fate line and what that means. Now the fate line shows somebody's sense of direction, it's your life path, it's your purpose, it shows your convictions and your drives. So when this line is missing, it means that somebody doesn't have that stronger convictions. They don't have a really strong purpose. Their sense of drive and their target can definitely change a lot because it's not set, it's not fixed on the hand. Now, when I read the fate line, I'm really looking at it in relation to somebody's career primarily, and I'm looking at it in relation to somebody's backbone, how well they know themselves and how clear their path is for them. When somebody's got a very clear, strong fate line, they've got a very clear, strong sense of what it is they're about, where they're going, what their belief system is, how well they know themselves, and what they want to do. So when this line is missing altogether, everything is much more open. Somebody finds it very difficult to know exactly what it is that they want to do. Career-wise, they can chop and change an awful lot. They might have many different ideas that take their fancy. They can be very easily influenced, for example, because they haven't got this internal direction or this compass guiding them. It means that anything from the outside might be quite appealing, but for a short space of time, because they haven't got that follow through, which is what the fate line gives. Now, the fate line is obviously a very important line. It's one of 4 of the major lines, but it is very, very variable, and you see all kinds of different fate lines, and it can be quite hard to identify where the fate line is or where it kind of begins or stops sometimes. But basically, it's very, very common to not have the strongest fate line, or to have several fate lines, or to have it missing altogether. But the other important thing to know is that it's the line that grows the quickest, and I've seen it so many times where people don't have the strongest convictions about what they want to do, and their fate line reflects that, but then in a year's time or 2 years' time, they've been on their path, they've continually worked at what it is that they believe in, and then the fate line grows in correspondence. So if somebody doesn't have a fate line at all, what we're going to do as a hand reader is examine the hand, look at different areas, and really help guide them into what is going to be best for them. Because having a missing fate line can be very challenging. It makes it very hard for somebody to know what it is they're supposed to be doing, what it is they're best at, and how they're going to find the most fulfillment. And as a hand reader, we're in a really good position to be able to guide somebody very accurately towards what they are best suited to. So we're going to look at some case studies. I'm going to show you some examples of people who have got missing fate lines, but through hand analysis, we're going to look at clearly what they're most suited to and what they'll be best at and where they'll find most satisfaction. So let's have a look. Right, so when we're deciphering somebody's career, we're of course taking in loads of different elements with the hand and looking at all the different small markings, finger lengths and things like this, and putting them all together. What I'm going to do here is try and keep things quite simple so that everybody can follow along and understand. So this lady here has got water hands. She's got very soft skin. She's got a narrow palm. She's got long fingers. Water is all about receptivity, emotional connections, being around people, and working in some way with your feelings. If we look at her fingerprints, they're all ulnar loops, so this just exaggerates this watery type quality. This is somebody who really loves to be sociable. Ulnar loops make somebody want to connect, want them to be part of the crowd, and she's definitely going to feel very good when she's in and amongst people, just in general. Now, quite specifically, she's got 2 radial loops on both of her index fingers. This is quite a rare thing to see. Now, a radial loop greatly opens somebody up to the outside. It makes them very, very in tune with other people, and it's very commonly found on therapists, in fact. Now, if you have 2 radial loops on a watery type hand, for me, this is somebody who's going to be incredibly good at connecting, at caring, and at healing people. So somebody with this type of hand with these type of fingerprints, I think would make a very good carer or healer and be incredibly comfortable working in this role, because it's something that's very emotional and they're going to be very feeling based and very empathetic and very able to work in this world extremely comfortably. Okay, so this is a totally different shaped element hand here. This is a fire hand. We can see that the fingers are a lot shorter and the quality of the lines is a lot more excitable. The skin quality is also quite grainy, so what we have with those things is somebody that needs a lot of action, a lot of excitement, they need to be doing, and they've got a lot of physical energy. So this could be the hand of somebody who'd be very comfortable, for example, in the army, or it could be somebody that wants to be a firefighter, even, for example. The headlines are pretty good quality as well. If we look at this here, it's quite fine and it's dipping ever so slightly, which shows this ability to be creative. But what I want to look at again here is actually the fingerprints. Now, this person's got a lot of whirl prints. When somebody's got a lot of these whirl prints, what it does is it individualizes them. It makes them quite unique and it makes somebody live in their own bubble. Particularly when somebody has got whirl print on the middle finger, they can find it quite difficult just to follow rules and just to follow a convention, particularly in the sense of their job. So for that sense, this person might be quite suited to being self-employed. If they were in the army or if they were doing something which was just a 9-to-5 job, they could find it quite frustrating. They want to make up their own rules. They want to be their own boss. So with that in mind, this person might be a very good tradesman or someone who's learned a skill of some kind, like an electrician who runs their own business or something like this, where there's change, excitement, and a new challenge every day for them. Okay, now our next hand is a really earthy type hand. This is a much squarer palm with the short fingers, and we can see a real physical quality to this hand instantly. Something that's very eye-catching for me here is the fact that the lifeline is branching right out to the other side of the hand. This shows somebody who needs adventure, needs to travel, needs to see the world. If this person was to just stay in the village in which they grew up in, they're going to feel incredibly trapped and very restricted. So they need this sense of excitement and adventure in a very, very real physical way. Now, if you look at this person's middle finger, it's actually quite short. And of course, like everybody in this video, he hasn't got a fate line, or not much of a fate line anyway. When somebody has got a short middle finger with a missing fate line, it really shows that they're going to be needing a sense of structure from somewhere. They haven't got it internally. So this is somebody here who needs a real strong sense of structure. They need to be physical, and because of their branching out of the lifeline, they need a strong sense of exploration and adventure in what they do. So this to me would be somebody who would be perfectly suited to joining the army, special forces or marines or something like this, because what you've got is the box ticked for adventure, physicality, exploration, excitement, structure. And basically the person would feel very comfortable in that environment. So looking at our next hand, it has got some very strong fiery qualities with the markings of the lines. However, the fingers are very long. Now, people with long fingers fall more into the air category. This is somebody who wants to specialize in what they do. It's somebody that can be quite refined in the way in which they work. If we look at the skin quality, it's very grainy. We can see the individual skin ridges when we zoom in. This is somebody that wants to be physical. They want to be active. They want to be working within the earth in some kind of way. It would be quite typical of somebody with long fingers with grainy skin to want to be, say, a geologist or something like this, because the long fingers give a study and then the graininess makes it physical. So a geologist or an archaeologist or something like this would be quite typical. However, the headline is quite short. So I don't believe that it's going to be somebody who's going to be that academic, somebody that wants to spend all their time kind of reading and studying. For me, this is somebody with the short headline that's going to want to see results a bit quicker. So I think this person would be very good doing a physical skill in quite a technical way. So they might be a very good carpenter, for example, where they can see the results very quickly in what they're doing. Okay, and moving away from the physical types, we're going back to a watery hand here. There is a slight earthy element to the palm as well. However, this is very much a water hand. What we can see is they've got a very long headline actually, and when somebody has got a very long headline, it shows a complexity and a deepness and an analytical quality to the way that they think. Now, water is all about feelings, emotions, receptivity, being around people and connecting with others. And so when somebody's got a very long headline on a water hand, what they're going to love to do is to analyze people, to analyze people's relationships. And they're inevitably going to be very interested in subjects like psychology and things like this. So broadly speaking, we can say that this person would certainly make a very good counselor or a very good psychotherapist or something like this. However, if we look at her Venus mound, which is her thumb ball area, this is very pronounced and it's quite large. When this is the case, it shows an appreciation for aesthetics and beauty. So somebody with this eye for beauty and aesthetics on a water type hand might certainly be a very good artist as well. And of course, when speaking to this person, if you found out they did have an artistic background and they were able to draw or able to paint, this certainly could be another role which they'd feel very, very comfortable with. Okay, so we've looked at a few different hands without the fate line, and we can see through looking at the shape and lines and fingers and things what roles they're going to feel most comfortable in and where they're going to find most fulfillment, and of course which areas they need to work on in order to feel whole as a person. It's always really important to stress that you do need to talk to the person. I mean, very obviously, if we have a water type hand and we see a lot of creative potential, there's no good saying to somebody, oh, you'll be a brilliant watercolor painter, or you'll be fantastic at drawing, because they might never have picked up a pencil or a paintbrush in their life. However, they might be very musical and they might be very talented at dancing or something, so their creativity comes out in a different area. So for that reason, it's always very important to speak to the person to ascertain exactly where they're at, but you can really see how with hand reading you can get a very good idea of where that person is going to feel most comfortable and get most satisfaction in life.